Alright guys, so these next two videos are going to be straight up Patreon requests. I know I've been kind of lagging on the Patreon request, I've been busy, so let's get started with our first one. And this is another Patreon request from Captain Omni, and Captain Omni asked me to but to do a story idea involving RWBY and Resident Evil, like a crossover between RWBY and Resident Evil. So here's how I kind of imagine. This would probably be kind of AU-ish, kind of like the other RWBY idea from Jason, where essentially what it was, basically what it was that it was like the horror characters, like what they were like in the RWBY universe. So we're gonna talk. So let's talk about that real quick. So in this story, basically what is in this continuity is that the a research facility has gone dark in that worked for Atlas, that worked for the biological branch of Atlas. Basically, what they were doing was Ironwood basically said that it was for research and defense, against studying Grim, like they were studying Grim biology, so they could create new and more powerful weapons to stop the Grim. And that was really all he said. What he didn't say was that what he did not say was that that's not what they were doing. They were studying biological warfare. They were studying, Grim DNA and stuff like that. And the group was called Umbrella. And yeah, in this continuity, the Umbrella Corporation is a private company who does work exclusively for Atlas, and the company leader, Albert Wesker, in this continuity. Yeah, in this continuity, Wesker is genetically enhanced. Like, he's been using Grim DNA to enhance himself. He's been using Grim DNA to enhance himself, but now their facility has gone dark, and it's not too far away from Mantle, so now they're kind of worried about, basically Ironwood, and this would be, before everything went to hell, before Ironwood went full crazy. We're in Series 7. We're, kind of like Series 7, in between that era, before Ironwood went full crazy, but Ironwood in here is like, look, we didn't know what happened there, so we're just going to send people in there. And Aesop's and RWBY and the RWBY team are dispatched, but they aren't alone. They're actually sent in with a special huntsman group that actually deals with that it basically deals with these kind of situations of biological warfare. And that is STARS. Yeah, this version of STARS consists of Leon, Claire, Chris, and Ada. So those four are our squad. You're wondering, where's Jill? She'll show up. Don't worry, Jill Valentine will show up here. We'll get to her. But yeah, Ada is part of this group. I know it doesn't spell out STARS, but even even Yang says, Yang has this mention with STARS when them and Aesop's meet up with them. It's like, hey, your team doesn't, our name is cool. It represents all the names, and why didn't you do the same with that? And then to which Ada says, that's fucking stupid. Oh, you're so smart. Oh, you're so clever. The first letter in our name spell out a team name. Fucking Beacon kids. What the fuck? There you go with STARS. So they go into this facility with Aesop's, and they run into zombies. So zombies how I imagine zombies in the RWBY universe. How I kind of imagine RWBY zombies is a lot different from how I imagine, your regular Resident Evil zombies. So in this story, the T-virus is actually made from Grim DNA. It's actually harvested by from dead Grim. They actually they scavenge body parts, harvest what they can before the body dissolves, and actually keep it alive. They found a technique to keep it alive. They find recordings of Wesker basically talking about how he's managed to use a form of preserving Grim DNA and then converting it with Ironwood's permission into a kind of gaseous viral form, which Wesker basically said in the recording, I told Ironwood, like, it would be like an anti-agent, like it would be like a form of gas, a virus that we could infect the Grim. Like, basically make like an airborne contagion that would be harmful to Grim only, and it would poison them. Like, it would be like a pandemic for the Grim. Like, it would be sick for them. It was like really, I'm working, but Salem came to me, showed me all this, and like, yeah, now I'm gonna retrofit it and make it 10 times worse. So, the zombie plague is more or less way worse. It is so much worse because you're more or less dealing, you are more or less dealing with a form of Grim that are, like, more durable. And also, this explains the mutations, like, in this continuity, is that the zombies that kind of inform, like, mushroom heads and, you know, the hellhounds and whatever, that, and also the oversized monsters you face, that now is of how you explain this version of the T-virus, because they're like undead Grim monsters now. They're evolving into like undead Grim monsters. So yeah, Stars, Aesop's, and RWBY now like had the lock. Like, here's the thing: Harriet, because of course it would be Harriet, locks down the facility, traps everyone in there, and wants to set off the self-destruct mechanism, which everyone's like, you fucking idiot, why would you do that? He's like, because we're all, we could all be infected, we could bring that back, the mission comes first, da-da-da-da-da. Leon, of course, knocks her ass out when she's on her whole rambling spiel. He just like, boom! Anyone care that I did that? No? Okay. So now, we're now, like, dealing with all of that, and as they go further into the facility, because, yeah, Harriet does bring up a good point, it's like, what if we're already infected? Like, if this thing is airborne, we could be infected and be, like, asymptomatic. We go back home, we could be infecting people and not even know, and then maybe we'll get infected or infect other people around us. And RWBY said, to which RWBY says, turns out maybe we should have brought Penny, because there's no way Penny would have been infected. But they do bring up a good point of, wait a minute, we could get Penny here to scan if we are safe. Like, if this virus doesn't, like, maybe we're safe from the virus, maybe it's transferred through bites. Like, they do read more notes and discover that there was, like, it's transferable through bites, but they do leave open that, in the notes they read, is that there's a possibility that the virus could mutate and become airborne, and people would just inhale it, and the infection would be a lot slower. So that's why Harriet went full crazy there first. So that's the real reason Harriet went full crazy. So of course, when everything goes dark, Penny's getting worried because her friends are now like, trapped in somewhere they shouldn't be. Crow's worried. Oscar and Ozpin are worried. So they talk to Ironwood and like, look, you're not telling us, there's something you're not telling us, Ironwood. And Ironwood tells them everything. Is like, okay, it was bioweapons. I worked with this guy named Wesker. He said he could create a virus that could infect and kill the Grim, but that didn't happen. Wesker went AWOL and all of that. And yeah. And he always there was also another reason Stars was sent in. Because in this continuity, Ada is actually a double agent for not just Stars, who work outside of Atlas, but she works directly for Ironwood. Ironwood suspected that Wesker had gone AWOL, so when he dispatched Stars, he purposely had Ada on that team. So that was the big reason as to why she was there, because Ada works for Ironwood. Anyway, so Crow, of course, is pissed off and demands that they go to this site to rescue them, and Penny and Oscar are in agreement. And Ironwood, who is not total full crazy yet, basically says, "Look, I'll let you go, but you're going to need a guide who knows how to get in there." Yeah, this is where Jill Valentine comes in, because Jill was a part of Stars, and she worked closely at the facility and was the one telling Ironwood, hey, I think Wesker's, a traitor. I think we should really look into this. So Jill leads the others there. They get out, they stop them, but not before they stop. They have to fight like a grim version of Nemesis. They have to fight like a grim version of Nemesis. And yeah, so there's the story. So let's talk a bit about some other stuff in here. So let's talk about some of the semblances for the Resident Evil characters. So Jill's semblance is that she can basically be a healer. She can more or less generate healing for others. Like, her touch can actually, like, heal and actually be, like, actually drive the virus out of the body. She actually just really concentrates and has to use some of her aura to do it. Case in point, like, in the story, I was thinking, like, Yang gets bit, and Jill uses a lot of her strength to drive the poison out of her, and save her from being zombified. Leon's is that Leon's senses are... Leon's vision can basically, like, he can see through walls and whatnot. He's capable of, like, sight through solid objects, like any kind of, including lead. So yeah, we can't do the Superman joke here. Ada's semblance is that she can create illusions, similar to Neo. And Chris is just really freaking strong. So there you go. Wesker's semblance is that he can actually absorb, like, new flesh and make it his own. So he's been absorbing Grim flesh into his own. So there you go, guys. That is pretty much my idea for a RWBY Resident Evil crossover. Once again, I'd like to thank Captain Omni for this another patron, and to be continuing to be a patron and sponsor on my Patreon. If you want a Patreon request, just click the link below, become a Patreon on the 4th tier, and just leave me a video to request, and you'll see it on here. So, yeah, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.